Good evening. What a nonsense. I mean, we had leaks and counter-leaks, the hokey-cokey budget, and then, just a few minutes before the Chancellor went live, the OBR published the whole blooming lot. What an absolute shambles. And it was an Alice through the looking glass budget with a heavy dose of socialism. Rachel Reeves says things that patently just aren't true, but perhaps she believes they are. It was anti-business. It was, without any shadow of a doubt, anti-saving, particularly pension saving, in the most enormous way. But hey, if you're on benefits, it's all good. And if you're from Somalia and you've got 10 children, this is the best budget that has ever been produced. Now, I'm going to go into all of this in a lot more detail, but my sort of real takeout on this is, I think a few years ago, we went into the beginnings of an economic doom loop, and I believe we are still there, and that it's going to get worse pretty quickly. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Tweet hashtag Farage on GB News or email farage@gbnews.com. Now let's run you through some of the highlights. Firstly, she confirmed that the income tax threshold would be frozen.
To break the cycle of austerity, we need a fair and a sustainable tax system, one that generates revenues to fund the public services that we all use and supports investment to grow our economy. That does mean that today I am asking everyone to make a contribution. The previous Conservative government froze personal tax thresholds from 2021 to 2028. And today I will maintain all income tax and equivalent national insurance thresholds at their current level for a further 3 years from 2028.
And the mansion tax was confirmed.
I am introducing the high-value council tax surcharge in England, an annual £2,500 charge for properties worth more than £2 million, rising to £7,500 for properties worth more than £5 million. This will be collected alongside council tax, levied on owners, and we will consult on options for support or deferral. This new surcharge will raise over £400 million by 2031 and will be charged on less than the top 1% of properties.
And the two-child cap is to go, as I said earlier, to the benefit of lots and lots of families and hundreds of thousands of foreign-born people. But see how the backbenchers cheer.
We on this side of the House do not believe that the solution to a broken welfare system is to punish the most vulnerable. We are lifting 450,000 children out of poverty with the end of the two-child limit.
And there was some good news on gambling taxes, and Rachel Reeves made it clear that everything that happened in this budget, they were her choices. Well, I wonder about that. I'm joined by Liam Halligan, Telegraph economist and columnist, and author of When the Facts Change, amongst other things. Did she write that budget?
There's nothing more important than keeping your money and your identity safe online. And with so many VPN options available, choosing the right one can be pretty daunting. But this video's sponsor, ExpressVPN, is making the choice easier for GB News viewers. ExpressVPN is offering up to 73% off, plus 4 extra months free. That's top-level security from just £2.49 a month, and you're covered by their 30-day money-back guarantee. So just click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code now. Remember, when you're online, you are often sharing personal data, so hackers can steal your information, your passwords, your photos, and your bank details in just seconds. But ExpressVPN encrypts your connection, making it virtually impossible for hackers to access your personal information. So why choose ExpressVPN? Well, it couldn't be easier to use. With just one click, you are protected. And ExpressVPN uses military-grade AES 256 encryption, which is the same standard trusted by the US government to guard their classified information. With their new tiered plans, you can protect up to 14 devices at once and manage passwords securely. Live chat support is available 24/7, and it typically connects you in under a minute with a real person. Click the link in this video's description or scan the QR code to get up to 73% off ExpressVPN plus 4 extra months free. Start protecting yourself today with ExpressVPN.
Difficult to say, Nigel. I think she certainly influenced it, but this was very much a centrally controlled budget. It was very much a number 10 operation. I think, in fairness to her, she did a pretty decent job of delivering it on the day. But it was very much a budget, I think, for Labour MPs, by a Labour MP.
The two-child cap, the cheers were incredible.
Yeah.
When she talked about education, she said, the sort of school I went to, the Tories don't care about. Huge. I mean, that's why I said, Alice through the looking glass with a heavy dose of socialism. This was a pretty left-wing budget.
It was a pretty left-wing budget. We had, of course, last year a £40 billion increase in tax, the biggest increase in tax in a single budget for 30 years. She said she wasn't going to come back for more. Yeah. She said she was fixing the foundations. It was once in a generation. And I know the headline figure the OBR are putting out is £26 billion increase in budget. I think it will end up being nearer £30 billion once we've been through all the fine print. So, again, a historically large budget, the second in a row, a big increase in taxation. Why? Because those Labour backbenchers you saw cheering there, they will not countenance any kind of... We're not talking about cuts in welfare spending. We're talking about slowdowns in the rate of increase of welfare spending. They won't countenance those. We saw that over the summer when the Labour backbenchers made fun of the Chancellor and the Prime Minister. They turned a welfare spending reduction bill into a welfare spending increase bill just so the whole world could see who was in charge, who's running government policy. Of course, the bond markets didn't like that. They immediately put billions of pounds on our debt interest bill because, of course, we borrow so much money each month.
We will talk about debt in the next section in quite some detail. But overall, you know, what was there for business?
There was very little there for business, I thought. There was... When you say Alice through the looking glass, I felt that because she was talking a good game. She sounded like a tech bro. She was sparking enterprise and
entrepreneurs,
risk-taking and all the rest of it. And then, you know, massive inflation-busting increase in the minimum wage coming after another inflation-busting increase in the minimum wage that was announced in April. We all want people to be reasonably well paid, but those above-inflation increases in the minimum wage, they're going to go straight through to consumers. They're going to go straight through to prices in the shops, so they'll just feed inflation and you're bidding up a wage price spiral like we had in the 1970s. There was a great unmentioned in this budget, and the OBR didn't even put it in the numbers, the employment rights bill that's going to take us back to the 70s with huge increases in entitlements to unfair dismissal and so on.
And very bad for small business.
That's coming through. Yeah. It wasn't included in the budget calculations, unusually, because the OBR have come up with a forecast. It's going to be $5 billion a year. And that also is bad for small business. A lot, I think, that big corporations are going to like, a lot more regulation. But again, it's the small and medium-sized enterprises that employ 2/3 of our people. They did not get a good deal out of this budget. And that's before we even get on to those farmers you mentioned.
No, absolutely. And thinking about it, the one big giveaway is energy. Now, this is the government that promised they'd cut bills by £300. They've gone up by £300.
Yeah.
Now they're going to come down by £150. But that's just by taking some of the green subsidies off the electricity bills and putting it into general taxation. So my take on it, see what you think about this. If someone sitting at home now is a pensioner, it's been quite a good day for them because they'll get a reduction in the energy bill and the triple lock is still there. If someone's sitting at home on benefits, it's been a good day, especially if they've got loads of kids.
Yeah.
But for anyone working, it's been a terrible day.
I think it has. Even though energy bills are going to come down a little bit, the reality is they're just going to go up by a little bit less than we thought they were going to go up by.
That may be right.
And we still have, Nigel, the most expensive electricity for firms and households among the advanced industrialised world. Now, of course, that's really worrying, particularly for older people, cash-strapped households. They may not put the heating on. And guess what? This is forecast to be quite a cold winter. But the even bigger issue, I would say, for the economy as a whole about energy is business energy costs, particularly manufacturers and others.
Yeah.
And those energy costs, they have a very distinct regional pattern because it's in the Midlands, it's in the North East, it's in South Wales, where you've got the manufacturing heartland, where you've got the so-called metal bashing companies. They have sky-high electricity bills. They often don't qualify for any of the assistance schemes unless they're steel makers. And, of course, we've got none of them anymore, pretty much. And so an awful lot of businesses won't be expanding. They won't be taking on more people because of those energy bills on top of the Employment Rights Bill and the other costs.
And the minimum wage and under 18s and all of it. And the reduction, of course, in the cap at which employers start paying national insurance to £5,000.
And look, it's worth just dwelling on that. If you lower where you start paying national insurance at £5,000, you discriminate against part-time workers. You discriminate against the low paid. And just going back to the main headline measure, freezing the tax thresholds, which the Tories started, this tax threshold freezing gig, which drags another 1 million people into tax in the first place, drags another 800,000 people into the high rate of tax. Middle managers, not very senior nurses and police officers, not very senior teachers. They'll all be high rate taxpayers. They weren't meant to be high rate taxpayers at all.
Are we in a doom loop?
I don't
rising taxes, increasing debt?
I don't think she's done anything to break us out of our doom loop. I think the only way we're going to get out of a doom loop, and I say this advisedly and with regret, is we have some kind of crisis that moves the fiscal and the political needle, or someone comes in, probably not a Labour government, I don't think they've got it in them, and says, you know what? We're going to lower the rate of corporation tax for small businesses, and then next year we're going to lower the rate of the corporation tax for big businesses. You know what? We're going to raise the VAT threshold. So small traders don't stop trading in January. They actually carry on to April, so they don't pop the VAT threshold. You need to do big, bold things, and you need to basically push away a lot of the public sector advice you're getting, because we're at a point, Nigel, where the tax is so high that higher tax rates could well bring in less tax revenue. We're beyond the Laffer curve.
We had Laffer on the show the other week.
I know you did.
We did.
It's a Laffer minute.
Very good, very good. In the